Hello, everyone, and welcome to IRX. I'm delighted to be joined by Georgia Scott, Head of Solutions Marketing at Adobe, as well as Aynsley Peet, e-commerce director at Cox Cox. Today, the two will discuss key measures that retailers can take to build loyalty and increase share of wallet during this difficult economic period. Just before we start the session, I want to cover a few housekeeping items. Firstly, feel free to put your comments in the chat as we go along. If you have a specific question for Georgia or Aynsley, add it to the chat or the Q&A, and they'll endeavour to answer it towards the end of the session. Just a word of warning, this has proven to be a very popular session, so please don't leave it until the last minute to ask your question. We don't want you to miss out. However, Georgia and Aynsley will be able to answer any questions that they didn't manage to get to after the session. So I think that's it from me. So Georgia, over to you.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody that's taken the time to join us today. I'm hoping it's going to be a really interesting session for you all. I'm going to be nowhere near as interesting, I'm sure, as the conversation I'll be having with Aynsley later on. I'm going to present you some what we think are really interesting findings at Adobe from our most recent survey. And then also, I guess, what that's really meant to us and what we think it means for the retail industry moving into 2023. And then we'll have a lovely conversation with Aynsley about how he's facing into those challenges and some of the strategies and successes that he's seen with different tactics. So let's get going. I think it's safe to say that you're all aware of this now, but as retailers, you are facing what can only be described as hurricane force economic headwinds. Most of you, I'm sure, are already feeling that, but you're probably coming off the back of what was a very busy Christmas period and now facing into the challenges of the new year. It really is a perfect storm of adversity, fueled really by three factors. Our looming global recession, our private sector has suffered some of the sharpest contractions seen in decades. Our cycles of inflation, costs have reached record highs. I'm sure everybody's really feeling it with their energy bills this winter. I certainly am. It's been a bit of a shock having recently moved back from Australia. And of course, those costs that we're absorbing as retailers are naturally getting passed on to consumers, whether that's in the actual cost of production or in the cost of running your business. And of course, we have a pound in free fall. And these challenges, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So what can we do despite all of these things? And in some instances, how can we thrive in them? So despite the odds, and I found this a really reassuring fact, 72% of consumers stick to the same retailers. Now, there's obviously a real mix of reasoning in there. There's going to be brand and product loyalty, habit, convenience, and locality. But the implication for everybody listening is really the same, that if you can create moments of stickiness and moments of trust, you have a really strong shot at keeping your customers. The other consideration is that 52% of consumers only care about the purchase they are making in the moment. And when we were first looking at this stat, we considered that it meant that customer stickiness is a coin and that loyalty is designed on the flip of it. But actually what it means is that every moment matters and that every moment is an opportunity to increasingly build trust with your customers. Now, that's a challenging environment to operate in, but it is one that's ripe with opportunity. And that despite all the economic forces at play today, it means that price really isn't the only factor. And this was backed up by this stat that only 24% of shoppers will go elsewhere if retailers are forced to put up their prices because of tough times. And more than half of consumers will stray to a new retailer when offered a big promotional incentive. So let's look at those two stats independently. 24% of shoppers will go elsewhere. That's a quarter. I mean, for me, when I'm balancing my household spend, I felt that I would expect to have seen a much larger percentage there. And yes, more than half of consumers will stray to a new retailer when offered a big promotional incentive, but that's a one-off. And if price alone is your strategy, that is a race to the bottom that I would advise the majority of retailers not to join, as it's one that where only the giants survive. And most importantly, the reason I wouldn't advise price as the sole strategy is 40% said they wouldn't be swayed. That's 40% who aren't going to be swayed by a price, who have built loyalty with you for factors far beyond that. And so let's focus on those factors that we can control outside of price and how we can build that consumer loyalty. So how do we do that? How can we create genuine moments of loyalty, stickiness, and trust? And then secondly to that, how can we do that at scale? It's very easy to do that when you're talking to a small number of people and you can form a relationship with them. But when you're needing to do that at scale and sometimes at scale quickly, how can you do that? It's a question many brands are still trying to answer. So consider this figure. This is actually from another piece of Adobe research recently that revealed that 73% of consumers want to be delighted by the experience with a brand, but fewer than 1 in 5 feel that the retailers they engage with actually deliver on that expectation. So there's a lot of room for improvement, but also huge amounts of opportunity out there for retailers who focus their attention and resources on delivering exceptional customer experiences because customers want to be, they're looking forward to it, yet we're just not providing it. So how can we do that? Well, we think there are 3 key pillars for the year that can allow you to do this. Personalized digital experiences, valuable communication at every stage, and then tapping into the rise of more mindful, value-driven consumerism. And let's talk about those 3 things a little more. People want to feel unique, understood, and important. I think that goes for every relationship we have, but it also goes for the relationships we have with retailers. Definitely don't want to tell everyone on this call how to suck eggs, but I think it's really important to remember how you would like to feel and how are you offering that for your consumers. You know, during the pandemic, we saw a lot of successful brands differentiate themselves by creating these smart experiences that really tapped into that human desire. So smart website, UX, smooth payments, rich, timely digital content across multiple channels that made customers really feel like the center of the world. And yet just 54% of consumers today feel that retailers help them find the products that they need. That I find is a really surprising fact, considering how long we've been able to tap into search, for example, and how we know that search is a really powerful tool. I can't remember, I'm sure you guys know the stats better than me, but the number of times a customer is likely to buy if they've searched for your product, if they've just landed for a browse. And yet we're not offering them the products that they came looking for. Brands must shift their mindset into the digital experience first, particularly for younger generations who are now shopping across multiple channels and being heavily influenced by peers and by influencers. 65% have purchased based on influencer recommendations, and we have to find ways for e-commerce journeys to accommodate this. Farfetch is actually a really interesting example of this. So they utilized search data on overarching customer trends to offer a better customer experience. A good example of that is the way that they merchandised Air Jordans immediately after the first episode of Netflix, Michael Jordan. That wasn't a pre-planned tactic. That was real-time monitoring of search trends. That was real-time personalization of everything from their merchandising on site, their banners on landing on the page, and the marketing communications that followed across multiple touch points, social, email, and mobile. Interestingly, a recent change we made to live search in Adobe Commerce allows our customers to see what unique search terms and products their users are looking for on their site in the moment. Now, this is fantastic from a personalization perspective, but it also helps you tap into product offerings that you might not have, and also obviously tailor the messaging and descriptions. And AI-driven commerce, such as Adobe's Sensei AI, will actually automatically analyze shopper behavior using machine learning to make intelligent recommendations to users as they're browsing your storefront. That's how we can tap into these big cultural moments, such as the Michael Jordan documentary, tap into any loyalty that we might already have with consumers, and then compound that tenfold and hopefully bring on more loyal customers. The other pillar I want to talk to you about is the delivery of communications that add value at every stage. I like to look at this as a would you do it in real life scenario. I talk about it a lot, and I think a lot of people kind of laugh and agree, but yet somehow I still see really big brands making the same mistakes. How would you, let's say you had a boutique store on the street, how would you treat a customer in terms of your communication with them if they were to come into your store on multiple occasions? If they came into your store and you got to know them and you knew that they liked red, and they bought a dress in a size 8 and wasn't it gorgeous, and they left that store, you wouldn't, as soon as they left that store, run down with a different red dress screaming, well, you must want this one. We all know that would be a weird experience. We also know it might be a bit of a weird experience if 1 week later, when you kind of pop back into that store to have a browse, somebody comes up to you and goes, look, I've got the perfect item for you. Please come over here and try it on. And it's a size 18. Plus, it's not in a color that you like very much. I consistently see this. I won't name names, but there are lots of brands that permanently target me with what I feel are personalized sales offers. However, they're not in my size, or worse still, and this is a pet peeve for me, they're never in stock. So when we're thinking about this, how are we getting to know our customers? How are we talking to them? And how do we have the technology in place to offer them the experience that we would love to offer them in real life? We've got the power to create experiences we could only dream of doing on the high street online, yet we're not taking up the opportunity. So ensure you have the tools. And of course, I would say our tools, but in general, the marketing automation products that are required. Everything here is a combination of strategy and process and the tools, right? We need both of them working harmoniously together. And this one is one that we've seen come up as a theme increasingly over the last kind of year or so, which is the rise of the mindful shopper and a value-driven consumer. Research has showed that increasingly consumers are being driven by their values, beliefs, and ethics, as well as their practical concerns. And regardless of that price, and as we know and have seen in the earlier stats, price is really not everything. There is a real trend to ensure that the businesses that we're buying from echo our values. Through the digital experiences that are being offered. So, CSR, making things greener, how you're communicating your values and your ethics through everything from the copy on your site to the fulfillment, your packaging, the shipping that you use, etc. And I think the better that we can reflect this and the better that we can avoid any negative PR about this, the more hope that you have of building that kind of trust with a consumer that you are a destination that can be relied upon for their shopping. One example was, I'm sure we quite frequently see some negative PR about Amazon, but there was some negative PR about Amazon at the start of the pandemic in terms of warehouse workers and their treatment. Now that was tackled head on with a TV campaign talking about how they create new opportunities for workers, how they were moving forward, what they wanted to change, and how they were going to lean into it. Because they recognized the importance of, regardless of the fact that they could be the cheapest, of aligning their values to a vast majority of their shoppers who really cared about the ethics of the business. And that, as you might have seen, as I just flicked a page too far, is the end of the kind of summary of our findings. And I think it's probably about time that I had a lovely chat with Aynsley. So, did anything in the report surprise you?
Yeah, there was actually several statistics which surprised me. I think the first one that stood out was that 72% of consumers stick to the same retailers. This is obviously very encouraging to read, and I think it's just highlights to me really, and it gives me a lot more ammunition when I go to the board to ask for more spends for technology and marketing. So that was a really compelling stat. I think it's also encouraging that people really enjoy shopping online. I know that's probably to be expected, but there's 66% look forward to visiting their favorite retailers' websites, and that 46% say that their time shopping on favorite websites is memorable. I also looked at, it's very focused for what we do at Cox Cox, is that 71% of consumers look forward to seeing products. So at Cox Cox, we focus a lot in terms of website imagery and content. We have our own photo studio. So it's just really compelling, really, that people really enjoy seeing products. And I think that's, again, a statistic I will be shouting about and sharing across the business, really. So obviously, if people are seeing products, that it has a big positive impact on user experience and ultimately conversion and revenue. And obviously, with the kind of the growth of social media and mobile, at Cox Cox, what we've seen is probably a small amount of what other retailers have seen. So we're now seeing over 75% of our traffic is coming via mobile, and over 50% of our revenue is coming from mobile. And ultimately, that's driven by seeing products and also, a good, friendly user experience. I think the final one that stood out for me really was that 50% of consumers want retailers to know them and personalize them, personalize offers. This is, again, is music to my ears. At Cox Cox, we love to A/B test promotions, content, user journeys. And at any one time, we can have maybe 3 or 4 A/B tests running, really. So that's really encouraging for us as well. So yeah, there was a lot of standout information there, and we've been absorbing it at great detail.
I'm good. I'm glad, and I'm glad that it could help you, obviously, with your bosses to power your future ventures. I also was surprised at that. I mean, obviously, personally, I love shopping, and I also want personalized offers. But I think it's always good to see that actually, on the whole, people are happy to have their data used for personalization. They are encouraging it. They want to feel like it's for them, as long as we probably do it well, I'd imagine, which I'm sure your A/B testing is allowing. So what are the key things, from your experience? And you just said you love doing A/B testing. So from all the learning that you've been doing, what are the key things to consider when creating a memorable shopping experience?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of primary ones really that stand out. I think a key challenge is to get customers, consumers to be engaged with your brand. So they know about your brand, what you do, and, products, the identity you have. I think ultimately then really, and it's to give them confidence in buying your products and services. So at Cox Cox, we invest in brand identity. And to touch on it again, really, imagery and product content is a key focus for us, really. We just hope that makes the shopping experience memorable for our customers. And what we do to kind of make a compelling impression, really, we want customers to have confidence so they can visualize the products inside their own homes, really. If you're spending maybe £2,000 on a sofa or £700 on a console table, you just want to see how that product could look in your home, how you can style it. And obviously, with the current economic climate as well, really, we want customers to be confident that what they're purchasing is going to be right for them, and ideally as well, how they can multi-use that product across their home or, across their house, really. So we find that really helps the consumer journey. And really, what else we do, we've invested a lot of time in technology at Cox Cox as well over the years. We've been on Adobe Magento 2 since 2017, and that's our key technology for us at Cox Cox, really. So on the back of having a key Adobe commerce platform, we do a lot of testing around recommendations, user-generated content. That's been really big for us over the last couple of years. We now have maybe 70 of our top performing 100 products have UGC and augmented reality as well. So we like to kind of see how products can sit inside people's homes, and they can do that via mobile phones. And again, really, A/B testing on the back of this. So we're testing where to place the UGC, where to place the recommendations, what recommendations to kind of promote as well. So I think in summary, I think to kind of memorable shopping experience, I think it's customers want to see products, good pricing, and they're more than happy to have personalization, really. So I think once you can achieve those 3 pillars, I think you can have happy customers, and hopefully customers who come back to you time and time again.
Absolutely. And I think two things that you just said there that are really interesting, because I think that they build trust, particularly when you're buying potentially larger value items, especially on mobile, is how you can build trust through user-generated content, right? Trusting that somebody else has put it in their home, somebody else has bought it, and this is what it looked like. And then, of course, your use of kind of AI and UGC, being able to visualize that in your own home. And I presume all of those things are kind of building the trust that you can commit to this large purchase via your mobile, and it's going to be right.
Exactly that. That's good.
Yeah. So the findings showed that only 18% of customers weren't happy to share their data with retailers. Based on all the things you've just been telling me, I'm presuming that data collection to you and the business is extremely important.
Yeah, so at Cox Cox, customer data, website data, and understanding of our customers really is key to driving the success of the website. Also, email marketing, and also digital and offline marketing campaigns we're running. So data is really just driving the business. So touch on that. Offline, we send over 3 million print catalogs a year. This is driven by customer data, purchase data, and also on the basis of this, we're going to be adjusting frequency of when they receive the catalogs. And also we've been testing the size of catalogs. So some customers may have like a more magazine style publication. Other customers may have a publication with more products. So we're really kind of bringing our A/B testing from the website into offline. And from a marketing campaign perspective, really, we're always tracking data from paid search, social, paid social, and email, really. And we're always just looking to monitor product performance, revenue performance, and also how well the technologies are working to deliver the marketing campaigns. And I think as well, as we go into 2023, I think data is going to be an even bigger part of what we're doing at Cox Cox. And I'm sure for the majority of business, really, it's going to help you understand how to promote, what to promote, and when to promote it, really. So I think data just really drives user journeys and the buying experiences. So yeah, a key metric for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Tapping into those moments where you can create loyalty is all about having the data to do it. So another question for you. In our survey, nearly 3/4 of consumers say that their inboxes get clogged up with promotional spam. I actually think I had to avoid my inbox entirely during Black Friday. How do you battle that at Cox Cox?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge that every retailer faces, but I think that the key compelling stat is that email is still very much a driving marketing channel. So for Cox Cox, it's probably one of our top performing channels still at present. And I don't see this changing in 2023. Yeah. So for us, as an example, we send over 30 million emails a year, which cover broadcast, which we typically send broadcast emails maybe 3 or 4 times a week. Then we're doing automated campaigns around anniversary of purchases, kind of browsing, abandonments, and kind of products that also would match and go together. So really is a key channel for us in terms of driving traffic and ultimately revenue. But ultimately, yeah, the challenge we have is that how do we get people to open our emails? And obviously, if a lot of retailers are doing promotions at present, the sale periods are going and ongoing. I think we'll see that through 2023. So for us at Cox Cox, really, we like to promote new products and new trends. And trends for us has been an interesting avenue, really, because we did some website research last year, and we identified that customers really come to Cox Cox to shop via trend. We didn't really kind of focus and promote that as well as as we understood that to be. So on the back of that, we promoted trends, inspiration into the main navigation. We promote it a lot more via social, a lot more into our print catalogs. And no surprise, really, when we did that, we were seeing a lot more traffic come to the trend sections and inspiration. So that's a key area for us to focus on, really, is about trends and inspiration. And we can do that across seasons. So we have spring, summer, and kind of outdoor. And also when we do indoor and Christmas, that works really well in terms of themes and trends. But to kind of go back to email to kind of conclude this question, really, I think what we use email for really is to upsell across the season. So a key challenge for us, and if we can do this well, is that when we get a lot more customers in the autumn winter period where they're buying kind of Christmas trees, Christmas tree decorations. So if we can get those people to buy outdoor furniture or furniture sets, they have a real strong kind of revenue uplift for us as well. So our challenge is to get customers buying across seasons and buying into product trends and recommendations. And email really does this really well for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I can relate, obviously, as a marketer. Email is still a really strong channel for us at Adobe as well. But I'm sure you'll agree. I find, in terms of cutting through the noise, it's even more important in email to have built that trust and to then not disappoint on the engagement when someone does open your email, right? You've got, if you want them to keep opening your email, they need to feel that they've got something to look forward to by opening your email. So it's really important to deliver on those moments. So what tactics, platform functionality do you think that retailers use to drive loyalty or share of wallet effectively?
Yeah, I think for us, a frictionless shopping experience is key. If a customer's having issues on your website, I think currently in this climate as well, and it's always been the case, really, they know without a doubt they're going to go elsewhere to make their purchase. So as part of your user experience, you need to make it easy to browse, customers to browse via your website navigation, landing pages. Site search for us is key. A user who uses site search is 3 or 4 times more likely to convert. So you need to have a.
That's the figure I was looking for earlier, Aynsley.
There you go. I had it in hand.
You had it for me.
I had it for you. So yeah, a site search is crucial for us, and that works hand in hand with the e-commerce platform. And we want really product information and product imagery to be clear and concise for users, really, so they can understand this product they're going to be buying, how it will complement and how it will engage, how they can use it or how they can wear their product. I think the standout ones really for the e-commerce platform, you want to have a comprehensive list of promotions, ideally customer segmentation, behavior segmentation, and ideally, use the advantages of site search, recommendations, AI, and technologies. And once you're going to be doing that, you're going to go back to the data where you're going to have like shoppers having happy shopping experiences and hopefully coming back and making not only a first purchase or repeat purchases, really. So yeah, for us at Cox Cox, technology and having the right e-commerce platform is a key to driving the business forward.
Fab. And finally, and topically, given the downturn that we are in, how would you advise, or what do you think retailers can do to leverage their platforms to reduce costs elsewhere in the business, which is, I'm sure, a very compelling thing that your senior stakeholders are always looking to hear?
Yeah, certainly it's always been a key challenge, but it's, really is a key challenge for 2023. So I think a market leading e-commerce platform would enable retailers to offer multi-country, multi-currency options out of the box. And with a business, with different brands, you should always get the brands using the same e-commerce platform as well, because it gives the staff using the same technology, the same promotion, same search, same A/B testing. You'll save a lot of hours in terms of knowledge share, development time, quicker code releases, quicker training, quicker QA testing. And ultimately, it just brings in familiarity as well. So different brands across the business can understand what works well and how they can share ideas and share experiences. And again, using the best technology for site search and recommendations, really, you're going to be reducing man hours. You can set up campaigns quickly. You can drive revenue. And it's all about being nimble, being agile, and A/B test, and always be learning. And I think that will really be the way forward to drive revenue, but also reducing staff hours.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and for offering your insights. I think they're really interesting and really powerful, and we're keen to answer any more questions that anybody has, I guess, and have a bit of a discussion.
Oh, thank you, Georgia. Thank you, Aynsley. That was absolutely fascinating. I'm afraid we run out of time today, but I just want to say a huge thank you to both of you for today's session. It's been so interesting to hear real life stories from retailers, especially at Cox Cox, and see what can be done with real insights from data and, of course, the right tools. So just quickly on that note, if you are looking to re-platform in the next 12 months and you're interested in finding out more about how Adobe might be able to help your business create real moments of loyalty, stickiness, and trust, we do have a limited number of slots available where you can have a quick call with a member of the Adobe team. It's not a sales pitch, it's more an opportunity to have a chat, discuss your current challenges, the problems you're facing at the moment on your current platform, and just sort of decide whether it's something that maybe you can work with Adobe and move forward. So if you're interested in having a conversation with Adobe, please let me know. Just drop an email to info@internetretailing.events.com. I'll drop the email address in the chat. And just let us know if that's something you would like to do. But there are only limited spaces, so just let me know as soon as possible. So finally, just a reminder that IRX and EDX is returning to the NEC on Wednesday, the 24th and 25th of May. Registration will open in March, so keep your eye out for one of those many emails that are coming into your inbox at the moment. Hopefully ours will delight you as well. But anyway, once again, just a huge thank you to Georgia and Aynsley. It's been brilliant, and we'll see you all again soon. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Louise.
Thank you.